theater world is one made of masks. Physical, emotional, metaphorical, and Dungeons & Dragons has always shared this theme to an even greater extent, where players become and take on the mask of a character who themselves may also wear a mask. 6 players find themselves dragged into the world of Acera, a place where might meets magic and lore can become reality. Join Andrew Wilmore, Will Acton, Anthony Anderson, Jack Reuther, Nathan Dennison, David Nika, and the Dungeon Master Wes Bridges as they traverse this world. Welcome to Adventures Till the Curtain Calls. So, welcome everyone to a special episode. It's kind of what we did similar with Will and Seven. We had episode like a 3.5. Well, this is episode like 10.5, essentially, because Tony was not able to be with us one day and or one session, and we want to have his roleplay experience just because while I do enjoy people being in the dark, I mean, I think that this is kind of a great moment for you guys just to have Tony, have Felix, have some one-on-one role play with him. Yeah. So, Felix, we had just kind of recapped. You guys had left the Weeping City with Sybil and the 2 guards. You were going to drop them off at Volkstad on the way up north to meet with Lendris. And upon the road, you had gathered a pack of scavenger dogs and some sort of bird that were flying overhead. Yes. The dogs were on the ground. The bird was overhead. In the middle of the night, you guys were accosted by said animals. During the fray, you had gotten bitten by a dog, as well as Ren, Banner, one of the guards. And these dogs, while they didn't look necromantic in any sort of way, but they were they had a lot of mange going on. Mm-hmm. And they had this like purplish blue kind of viscous stuff just kind of coming out of pores and like corners of eyes and mouth and everything. And you guys were able to successfully repel the dogs. Ren had taken an interest in the massive, like, hornbill, giant albatross-like bird that you guys had taken down, which was a bit more necromantic in its features. Yeah. But as you guys went to then take your rests and everything in the morning, those that were bitten were extremely difficult, actually unable, to be roused from their sleep. Mm-hmm. And it's kind of here that we're taking place with Felix. So can I get I'm going to kind of backtrack just a little bit from there. Can you give me a straight intelligence roll?
Straight.
So add your modifier to what your DC, to that D20.
Okay. That is, you said, so intelligence.
Just add your modifier, your intelligence modifier, add that to the roll.
17.
17.
Yes.
So you're not sure when it came about or how it came about, and so you were unsure like how long in this dream or so it took you to get to this place, but you find yourself in a vastness of just open water with a cloudless, moonless, star-filled sky above. You would think you'd be just treading open water, but you're actually able to stand, and on you it comes up to about waist height.
Okay.
So the light from the stars is enough for you to kind of, put as you're kind of splashing about or walking or whatever you're doing, you notice that this water is also a purplish blue. It's not thick or a mucus like or pus like anything. It's water, but
Okay.
it has this purplish blue hue to it. And I'm not talking just because it's nighttime and it's dark water,
Hmm.
but just the fact that that's the properties.
Is it like lit?
Um,
Is it like bioluminescent? Like, is it lit up? Like, is it glowing, or is it just like?
Sort of. I'm not going to say it's from algae of any sort. Like it
Yeah, but I'm
just
saying like
has
that
that
kind of like.
characteristic that you're
Yeah.
able to determine. It's got this kind of purplish blue. Like if you were to cup like some water, you're able to see. Oh, like this is clearer water, dirtier water. This has some green to it. This has
Oh,
whatever
okay.
in real life. That's more or less what you're able to do. And the amount of stars in the sky, although there is no moon, is so numerous that it does
Hmm.
kind of give you enough light to do that. Um, we'll say that maybe whatever metal you have, you try and focus what little bit, into a refraction. Um, and as you're kind of looking at it more like with that intelligence rule, a memory stirs that one of the last things that your father had mentioned
Hmm.
before slipping into his like coma like state was that he was in this purplish blue expanse.
Okay.
Unlike your father, it took years of his health degenerating before kind of slipping into the state he is. For
Yeah.
you, it seemingly took overnight. Um, read from that what you will, but whatever caused this to you potentially has caused it to him and has possibly become more effective at whatever it's doing or been
Yeah.
refined, whether it's natural or man made.
Okay. Well, especially if that's the case, like, is it just me myself, or do I have my stuff with me? Like, is it just
You
like I woke
have
up and it's
whatever
like my
was
person?
you have your standard gear is on you. I'm not going to say that you have your backpack though. I'm going to say that what you would typically carry with you apart from that. So you're like adventuring tools like rope, pack, all that.
Yeah.
That's to the wayside. You do have your firearms. You do have kind of I'll say you have your tinkerer's tools with you and whatnot. And
I was gonna
other,
say,
yeah.
dude, I was gonna check my watch. I was gonna check my timepiece and make sure like it's still like I don't want to say acting fine, or I want to see if it's reacting to this environment to see like if anything's going on with it.
So it's just a standard pocket watch, like it flips so up or to the side.
It's it opens to the side.
Okay.
It has like a little spring
So
release that pops open, but yeah.
I know that's a really innocuous thing, but it's good to know in the future, and it helps
Yeah.
just with the theater of the mind.
No,
Um,
exactly.
so you hit the spring lever and it pops open, and um, you hear the ticking sound, because that's really the only sound going on aside from
Hmm.
these. I'm going to say calm waves, just kind
Yeah.
of beating against you. Um, but the needle seemingly just goes tick and comes back,
Okay.
tick back. So it's as if it's trying to progress and things seem like they're working fine. It's just that second keeps coming back.
But it's not. All right.
Um, yeah. Anything else?
Hmm. Well, I know, especially if that was the case, and I'm gonna remember like if my dad mentioned it to me, especially if Rowan mentioned it. Um, I'm going to leave it open just because he likes like I know we've never really touched too much base on it. That ticking is kind of like a calming thing for him. It helps him
Sure.
focus. So especially if there's no sound going on other than like the waves lapping against me,
Yeah.
I'm gonna leave that open. But then other than checking myself to make sure I have everything and like trying to scout my initial area to see if Seven or if anybody else is near me, I'm gonna try to stand up and get a bead if I can see anything else or if I can try and
Yeah.
figure out what's going on.
Sure. There is, um, in all essences of the word, silence. Aside from now this ticking and the minor,
Hmm.
very minor, waves hitting you, and as you're kind of trudging through and everything. Again, it's about waist high for you. Pardon me, but yeah, you're more or less the only thing creating sound in this space. Um, you kind of look off as much as you can, and even just like being in water at nighttime. It's even if you've lived on that shoreline or near that body of water forever, eventually the the landscape just disappears into the
Yeah.
darkness. In this case, it's almost like that all around you. It's hard to distinguish if there's any land masses, any landmarks, any sort of um, geographical or topographical things you could make out. Um, and we'll say that you wander a bit before you just kind of like, what is this? Um,
For
you
sure.
do hear eventually, like after you're kind of stopping, the ticking, helping to manage any anxiety that may be growing.
Hmm.
You just hear, Felix, Felix. It's the only thing that's broken this silence of the world that you're in now.
Okay. Is it
Leave while you can.
okay? Can I tell where the like where it's coming from, or is it just kind of like all around me?
It's at first it seemed ambient.
Okay.
Um, you know the voice. It's the voice that's guided you, nurtured you in your pursuit to learn your entire life. It's your father's voice.
Okay.
Eventually, as sound does dis- uh, disseminate and it just disappears, eventually you start to get a beat on where the voice is coming from. And you turn behind you to see him face to face. As young, as energetic as ever, no hint of the ill effects that he had endured for years. Um, Honestly, at your age now, you're actually not, you'd be spitting images of each other, aside from the fact that your mutton chops come all the way around and meet your mustache, and he has the muttons, but just little wisps above
Yeah.
his lip and on his chin. Hey, little cog, or should I say, big cog, and just you've always been his little cog, his little helper in the shop,
Yeah.
and just kind of hearing for the first time in years, one, your father speak, and two, just to hear that name, that the intimacy of a name that only a parent can have with a child.
Yeah.
Um, I mean, you feel
He.
it pulls
Yeah.
instantly.
Yeah. No, he's like whatever anxiety he had just immediately drops. He's arms down. Like other than the ticking, like he still leaves that open, but he's just stunned, like trying to take in what's going on with this and like what's happening. Oh, man.
There's a hesitancy in Rowan because he wants to. It seems like he wants to come and hug you, but there's a suspension of disbelief. There's both hope and like the reality that like this may just be in my head.
I mean,
And the same exists in yours as well. I mean,
for sure. I think if he's that close, he's gonna go in for a hug. Felix is gonna go in for a hug.
okay.
If he's standing there, if he's standing there that close and like aware and cognitive, and I think he would not even try to analyze it too much. I think
Oh
he'd go
yeah.
in for a hug. He'd try to at least.
Oh yeah, and the moment you start going towards him, he reciprocates. You hug it, and he feels as real, as solid as ever. You smell the oil that was ever present on his apron.
Yeah.
You actually stand about a quarter inch taller than he does now. Um, so it's just always been interesting that you're expecting to hit this kind of mid chest on him, and just
Uh
realizing
huh.
how much time has passed.
Yeah.
Um, but he does kind of, you're a half inch taller, but
Hmm.
he peeks
Hey,
and,
that's a lot, man. Especially for us halflings.
oh
That's a
yeah.
lot. That's a lot.
Well, he speaks up. Remember how you got that scar under your chin, that glorious success with the clock? What? You wanted it to fire little fireworks on the hour every hour.
It's still a good idea. It's still a good idea. I still think that would work.
You,
Oh man.
you
What
sound like your pappy. And but
what is
what
what's
what
going on?
you tell me what are you how are you how did you get here?
Oh my gosh. I mean here specifically, we were attacked last night, and after going to bed, after going to sleep, I woke up here. I don't know. Have you seen anybody else? Anybody else around here? Like I don't even know where this is.
No, that's what I wanted to warn you. You have to get away from here. There's nothing for you here, and I don't want you to wander like I've had to.
Oh gosh. Okay.
I, I
What do you
thought
mean?
I
How
thought
long have
I
you been here?
died. I thought this was some sort of afterlife, a punishment for not spending more time and being more attentive to you
Oh,
and
oh
honest. And
no.
I believe that I'd be alone here for the rest of my existence.
No, no one deserves something like that, especially you. How long have you been here?
I don't know. Like he pulls out his timepiece. It's a little bit different. It doesn't have the
Mm-hmm.
fancy cover. It's just a straight open faced watch, and like he kind of shows, and it does the same thing. The ticking second hand wants to look like it progresses, but it
It
just kind
doesn't.
of maintains. But both of your timepieces are locked on the exact same time in the exact same second.
Okay. Is what time is it? Or is that important, I should say?
It is
Uh-oh.
11:07 at 53 seconds.
Okay. All right. 50.53. Gotcha. All right.
Watch that come in later, like
Man,
months,
that's your
years
cue.
down the line.
Yep. That's your cue now. Yep. You toss that ball to yourself in the future.
I did. I
Um,
did.
I mean, yeah, Felix would make note of that. Like of course, like if it's the same time, there's no coincidences. Well, it does. Okay, so like at least taking a look from both of those. Well, I mean, does it change like time of day here, or is it just always like this? Like what?
I wish I had more answers for you. Unfortunately, I don't know much. Here, I've been able to find out you can relive aspects of your life, but not fully. It's like playing through a memory.
Yeah.
Or but it's as easily manipulated as a dream. Um, it kind of seems just kind of seems upon the person that is in the space and creates something which might be familiar. Watch. And
Okay.
like he kind of looks over a little bit to the side, and before there was just emptiness, but in a brief flash, you're both standing in your home in the shop
Okay.
in Batia. There's the smell of the grease. There's the
Oh
freshly
man.
oiled gears just kind of sitting. There's shavings from, um, etching out specific parts. And it's just littered with projects, both begun and yet to be started. But it all seems off. You look out the windows and see more of the empty expanse of water and sky. No rolling hills, no
Mm-hmm.
kingdom, or no kingdom walls in the distance. Just nothingness. Um,
So it's like a set, basically,
yeah, more or
like a
less.
set
Yeah, if you
design.
want to think of
Yeah.
it like that, it's a pre-made set. I, no matter how many times I come here, it just doesn't feel like home. Not without you, my boy. And believe me, I've tried many times to even just conjure it in an image of you, but it doesn't seem to be able to create organic matter, so to
Okay.
speak.
I gotcha.
And this is This is where I've been.
Oh
This is
man.
what I do.
So so like as he's talking to me, I'm gonna look through the shop like so can I still like interact with stuff? Can I still like touch things,
Oh
or
yeah,
is it like
you could
it's
pick
held
up
in place?
hammers.
Okay.
I mean, your own. You have kind of theory, and you pull out your own tools, and you start working on something, and it works as it should function.
Oh man.
Um,
Okay.
uh, your father just kind of puts his hand on your shoulder. You, you shouldn't be here though. This is not for you. This is an echo, and we have to find a way to get you out.
Yeah. Well, what about you?
I
Like, I mean, you need to understand this entire time. Like, it's everything I've been doing is trying to help you and get you home. You've you've been you've been gone, and
I and you just see, like your father,
mhm,
he is an inquisitive man. He is a discerning man. He is able to guesstimate, estimate. He is able to deductive reason
yeah,
that it has been years. I haven't just been sitting here. I tried for so long to build something in here that might be able to work, but I know very little about this plane, realm, afterlife, whatever it may be.
yeah,
It's made considerably harder as whenever you leave the space, everything kind of resets on your
okay,
return. So my work, I work and I work and I get tired and I need a break and it
yeah, goes
oh,
away. Um, so nothing. So even if you make a space and do something with it, you can't take something from the space. It just if that space goes away, everything that you did goes away. Is that what you're saying?
yep.
Okay.
I
Well,
I I almost I've become so consumed in trying to find a way out that it's become harder to try and find those other places, to go to those other memories, shadows. This
yeah,
is the one that remains constant, and he in an inherently, without even thinking, just out of habit, and as you were so used to as you were growing up, he just starts picking up tools and starts working on something as he's having this
yeah.
conversation. It's just, and
That's
by
yeah,
extension, you find yourself handing things to him almost intuitively. um
yeah.
but
That's how I anytime yeah, anytime he needs to think, that makes sense. That's what he does.
yeah.
Um, okay, well, we just have to think of it from a different angle. I mean, you always taught that we get stuck in ruts, and sometimes we need someone else to come and knock us out of it. That's the only way we can improve. It's the only way we can make a change.
Someone else. It's always ever been me. I can't just keep going without breaking, but there's two of us here.
Exactly.
um and every time I come here, I felt compelled to be building this thing, and like he looks down, and is like, and he's already begun starting to like recreate.
Hmm.
He's like, would you be willing to try and work with me on what I've been creating, recreating over and over, and see if you can possibly help me finish? I don't know what it is.
Yeah.
I dreamt of it, so to speak, a dream within a dream. I'd
Whoa,
initially
man.
thought it was somehow linked to getting back home, but now I'm not so sure.
Okay. Well, I mean, hey, most of our best inventions come from our dreams. That's how it works. Um,
Okay.
yeah, let's do it. Let's yeah, let's get this done.
So almost in again, a lot of this for you just comes as naturally as if you had done it yesterday.
For sure.
You go over to the Billows where you had your own mini forge in the shop that you guys were able to craft whatever metals and shape them as you saw fit. Um, as the time, quote unquote, passes, you're unsure of like how long it actually is, as that second doesn't change.
Yeah.
Excuse me. But what feels like minutes turns into hours, days, times. Time is immeasurable here. Um, but it does seem that there is, however, food always in stock. It's
Oh,
always
that's good.
fresh, and there's always a bed to rest in. You guys kind of take this on and off shift, and there are moments where you guys are breaking together, but he does warn that just for safety's sake, not both of you take a nap at the same time.
Yeah, of course.
As tempted as
Dough
you may
doesn't go
be.
away.
Um, I'm going to say over the course of this, as you're working on this, you're kind of taking instructions as you're being given. Unfortunately,
Hmm.
there's parts where he's acting like he's done this a million times, which who knows, he may have.
He may
Other
have, yeah.
times, he may be switching, changing, or some other things. So here's what I'm going to need from you.
Okay.
I first off want an investigation check.
Okay. I like those. Investigation as a 13.
Okay. Hey, you just hit it.
Oof.
So as you're being told as much information as you can, and again, there's parts of this where if you're showing a video game to somebody and you're trying to explain the premise of it, you just kind of do the thing without explaining the thing.
Yeah, yeah,
Um,
for sure.
that's kind of what he does at times. Like he chimes in every now and again. So you're trying to figure out what he's doing, trying to kind of keep track of how he's putting together, what he's putting together. You
Hmm.
guys are having to mold and shape some springs, some levers, some simple machines within this encasement, um, and you're keeping a pretty decent bead on it.
Okay.
Give me an Arcana check.
Okay. Hey, at least you're hitting all my big ones. Ooh, that's a nat 20, my dude. So
Okay,
27?
so
How does that sit for you?
that sits wonderfully in a space with no time.
Oh
He,
man, that's deep.
uh, you see that there are portions where and he did it to a degree when you were younger. He's infusing some magics into some of the mechanisms himself, and you're able to track what they are. It's kind of some of them are in response to something else being triggered and whatnot. Some of them, it almost seems like a conjuration, like you see a little flame is created inside of this sphere that kind of is used to heat this mini conduit that's in there. You're trying to track what he's doing here,
Yeah.
but there is this kind of, but you see that there is this this gem is opaque, kind of blue, pale blue gem that he does pour a substantial amount of magic into, um, and it is also evocation. Can't necessarily pan out what he's putting
Evocation.
into.
This time it's actually evocation. I
Hmm.
know you've gotten me a couple times
Yeah, well, I
with
that
different
was on
schools.
me before. That was on me before. I admit that, but
Okay.
but yeah, this
Sorry.
time it is actually evocation.
Okay.
Um, and you hear this almost like cackle of electricity um, inside the gem itself.
Okay.
Um, and can I get a final straight intelligence check?
No modifiers or
Again,
with
just like
modifier?
with modifier.
Ah. Oh, hold on. That fell.
Do do do
One more,
do do
one more
do
time.
do.
Flat 10.
Flat 10. Man, You were just hitting all of the DCs today. It was a
I was
10.
worried. I was worried.
S-
You're getting all my main points, but oh my god, yeah,
um,
because
so it takes you a minute to piece over because you're kind of dialing in quite a few things, what you two are building, but it's not necessarily a design that you're familiar with. It does
okay,
have some very small mechanisms on the inside. Like I said, there is a heating conduit. There is a conduit that gets heated. There is the crackling gem inside of it. Again, with all of these other intricate movements that you've been able to track for the most part. Um,
yeah,
but it's a cylindrical contraption about a foot long. So about
okay,
yay. Um, with a twisting feature that, when acted, five metal spikes about 3 inches long pop out. At, we'll say when you twist it, it pops out the bottom there.
okay,
Um, it's not firing a projectile, but it's more like acting as a means of planting it into something.
okay.
And with the counter turned back to its resting position, they retract.
It goes back in. Okay.
Um, like I said, you do see your father imbue some magics. And it's almost as if that, like, when he finishes getting the final pieces in place, he's twisted it, the spikes have come out, he's untwisted it, retracted. That's when you start to hear the subtle hum start to emanate from it. Um,
Okay.
at this point, it's kind of your father, like, he pauses, he pulls out his handkerchief from his pocket, wipes his brow like he, dabbing. He never just wiped across, but he dabbed because he didn't want to smear all the soot and oil and
Of
whatnot,
course.
or grease
The victory
into his
lap.
hair. Yeah, and he kind of gives you, though, a look of being unsure what to do next.
Okay.
Um, he goes over, he gets an apple, cuts it in half, and gives you the other half, just like you did when you were growing
Yeah.
up. And that is the furthest I've ever gotten.
All right. Well, always love treading
And
new ground.
yeah, he just kind of sits down in one of the chairs and kind of pulls up another one for you, and motions while he
Okay.
continues to eat the apple, like, right off the knife.
Hmm.
But yeah, there's this long pause. Just kind of, one, unsure of what to do next, but mostly the latter, just wanting to be in the space with you.
Yeah.
For fear of saying anything or doing anything would ruin what you have right now in this moment. Um, eventually, enough time passes. I I wish I could have been there to watch you grow up these past. How old are you now?
Well, we don't need to go down that road, Dad. It's
Oh,
been, it's been a hot minute, but you did,
years.
hey, you did the absolute best you could, and no one holds that against you. Me, of highest of all.
There's
I know
he,
we never had a good, easy time, but that's what your dad always told us. The strongest metal doesn't get forged in a basic fire. It only
uh,
goes through the toughest, and
you know, and like he's choking up. He's like, you sound just like him, and it's. I know you're not trying to be, but he was condescending to me when he said it, and that's. But he just kind of goes from a chuckle into, like, honestly, a soft sob, and he just mutters, I'm sorry, I'm sorry." And you've never seen your father
yeah,
cry, even when it
that
was getting
definitely
bad,
hurts.
even when he thought his time was drawing near, he
Yeah.
didn't break for you. Um, and so, yeah, this is hitting him kind of hard. So yeah, you just see your father kind of break down in front of you.
I mean, I immediately lean over, like give him a big hug, pat him on the back. Like it's never, especially he always made a point to not get upset or to do
Mhm.
anything of this. So it always hits particularly hard. But especially now, like after everything with it, yeah, Felix he's coming in just trying to comfort him and just trying to, you know, just get him back to at least get him back so he can function. Like he does not handle the extreme emotions well, so he's just trying to just bring him back in and just pat him on the back and give him whatever kind of comfort he needs and just ring Rowan back in.
Sure. And as you have this moment, you guys are hearing the ticking. I don't want to say you even hear the little fire crackling that you have in the little mini forge. But then you hear tick, 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 like an offbeat kind of thing. And kind of inquisitively, you both look at each other. And you both look at your watches, and your seconds have started to progress, and his have stayed the same. And it's caused this kind of offbeat tick, 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 tick. And as this happens, you feel before you see these green-white magical vines wrap around your leg and then the rest of your body, and it starts pulling you away towards this white tear that forms just right over your shoulder and starts to widen. Okay. You don't necessarily feel any malice in the vine. It's just a vine, but it is determined to pull you towards the tear.
What's going on, Dad? What is this?
I don't know, but I don't. Hear me out. I don't think you should fight it. This may be your only way. You're either you're going home or you're going somewhere that has to be better than this.
What about you?
I don't know. I try and come with you. I guess, but
what about the device? Have the device and try to go through. I don't know if it's the vines that's going to allow it or what, but we can try it that way. I mean, you got to break the cycle. So,
okay. So are you giving into the vines?
Yeah, I'm gonna listen to my dad.
So, you start walking. As you start walking towards the tear, which is across the shop, you stop feeling so much that pull as from the vines as you are just more or less being guided. Your father walks with you, but as he starts to get closer, like it becomes harder for him. Like at first, it's like walking through molasses, and then like there's like this wall, and about that point where he can't go any further, that's when you kind of instinctually kind of stop, and you start feeling that pull again.
I mean, I'm gonna try and grab onto him. I'm gonna try and like use the vines to pull. Oh man, I don't. Yeah, that's the only thing I can think of at that point, especially when that starts doing it. He's gonna not really try to think it through. He's gonna try and grab onto him and try and pull him, either hold him on something on him to try and help him go through.
Okay. So there is that. It does get to that point where it's almost more you're pulling on him rather than trying to pull towards him, just because as the vines pull harder and harder to draw you towards this tear, it's kind of like tying a string around something and pushing that something up against like a pipe or something. You're then applying force to it. So you hear him start to groan before you feel your hat get lifted off and your hair gets rustled, just like when you were a kid. And he's just smiling down at you, tears in his eyes. Just says, I love you, little cog. And puts your hat back on, puts the device in your hand, and pushes you off of him.
Man, as he's getting dragged away, he's just gonna keep yelling at him, I'm gonna get you out of here.
I hope you do, son. I want to see you again. And as he starts to say it, he just gets cut off as you're pulled through the tear. At that moment, you are pulled through this white light. You sit up abruptly, kind of gasping for air. You look around to see yourself, Ren, Banner, and one of Zeragosian, which I made up that word specifically for this, Zeragosian. Zeragosian like guards in similar cots, while a large Goliath woman takes repeated deep breaths, sweat dripping down her face and off the tip of her nose. Got him. And you also see Eldon, Seven, Odarin, Beakley, and Taylorlock looking on with both concern and relief, and honestly the other three as well, as you are also drenched in sweat compared to the other three.
Yeah. Are they like standing around me or just like in the same room? Like how close are they to me?
So this is kind of like a big infirmary ward.
Okay.
And there's like kind of your four cots are facing, heads towards each other as she's sitting, and you can start to see the glyphs fading from underneath her as these green-white vines start disappearing into it and fading away.
Okay, so it was her.
So, but they're about 10, 15, I would say about 10 feet away, giving space to the Goliath woman.
Okay. I mean, yeah, from him jumping up. Well, first off, am I holding that thing or no?
There's nothing in your hands.
Okay. I mean, I'm immediately going to stand up, and for Felix, he's going to shout that we need to get him out of here. We need to go back.
You're saying that to Seven?
I'm saying that to the group. I'm saying that to I'm saying it out loud because first off, I was getting mad that I thought it was Odarin with the vines. Okay. Because I was gonna like get up in his face and tell me like why'd you just pull me like get mad at him for it, and I saw there was this Goliath, and it's the same thing. Like I'm more directing it at her because she's the one that obviously did it, but like we need to get him out of here. We need to get him out of there. Like he's not thinking straight. He's mad and he's like he's panicked.
Oh, of course. And like she's the Goliath woman is taking breaths. I'm sorry. This was more of a one-way trip. And like Taylock, we'll say there's some there
in the rest of the episode.
Oh, hold on a second here.
What was that?
Yeah. I don't know what just happened there. Do I still sound the same?
Yeah, for a moment it like went off like you switched microphones or something.
Oh, okay, fair enough.
Weird.
We'll say that Taylock speaks up. So we need to find out a little bit more about what this is to cause you to do that before we can go anywhere.
Where was that? We need answers.
We didn't know you went anywhere. You've been here the whole time. At least the body has been in possession of your friends, and now you're in Volkstad. Yes.
I pull out my timepiece to check on it. Is it fine? Like, is it just back to normal? Like, just working normally?
Yes, but it's continuing the time from where it left off, where you were.
Oh, so it's not whatever time it actually was. It was,
yes. So
okay.
it's
so like it'd be like 11.
You started at 11:07 and 53 seconds, and time progressed. And as soon as yours started going, that's the time that it went. But it is not current. That is not currently the time that it actually is.
Okay. Okay.
And you do look, and you're not necessarily how, because we know your stopwatch can do, or your timepiece can do a lot of things.
Mm-hmm.
Does it do days?
Um, I wouldn't say so.
Okay,
I
fair enough.
wish. I think that'd be cool, but I don't
Sure.
think. I think back then for like the tech, I think the most that it would do is just time.
Fair
It's
enough.
yeah.
No worries. No worries. Um, but and that's probably something I should have asked in character creation. But yeah. So from that point on, what we're gonna do is we're going to uh, this will pick up immediately into the next episode, which is episode 11.
Mhm.
And yeah, we'll pick up from there. I hope it's okay. I did take some agency. I figured
Yeah,
that with what you experienced with your father, there was a lot of introspection, self reflection, and honestly, I had you kind of not saying anything for a while.
makes sense.
Um,
I mean, especially in that case, that would be very fair.
okay,
Anything that's especially something like that, he needs input for him to make decisions. And if he has more questions and more variables than answers, then he's going to wait until he can process it, and it just takes longer for him to process. So that would make sense.
fair enough. Fair enough. All right, everyone. Well, thank you for joining in on this little mini-sode with Tony and Felix. And we're excited to be seeing you in our next episode, episode 11, um, where you will see the party continue on their journey north to see Lendris.
There we go.
So, all right. And until then, it's 5 to places.
Bye.